A very good evening to all the members of the pediatric surgery who is attending this meet. On behalf of Department of Pediatric Surgery, Nilofer Hospital of Child Health, Usmania Medical College, I welcome you all for today's academic session. The case of undescended testes. We have here with us our today's guest faculty, Dr. Subhasis Roy Chaudhary. Good evening, sir. Sir is currently Director, Professor and Head of the Department of Pediatric Surgery at Lady Hardinge Medical College and affiliated Kalavati Saran Children's Hospital, New Delhi. Sir pursued his post-graduation from PGI Chandigarh and received further training in pediatric surgery at Birmingham Children's Hospital, UK and at Children's Mercy Hospital, Kansas. Sir has over 90 publications to his credit and has presented many papers at various national and international conferences. Sir is also the author of one of the best books, Quick Guide to Decision Making, which is very popular for the residents. Sir, hearty welcome to this case-based interactive session, sir. I am Dr. Harisha, final year resident from Nilofer Hospital. So with your permission, can we start the session, sir?
Thank you, Dr. Harisha, for your very kind introduction, and welcome everyone in this evening meeting on case presentation. And I understand that the main idea of this case presentation is for residents teaching and training.
This is the first case scenario, sir. A 10-month-old male child, resident of Warangal, with informant being mother, who is a reliable informant, brought the child with chief complaints of empty left hemiscrotum since birth. History of present illness. Mother noticed a single testis in the scrotum with the empty left side of the scrotum since birth, and she has been under regular follow-up at the nearby private hospital, sir. There is no history of any swelling in the groin, no history of trauma, no history of any previous surgeries. Antenatal history, it's a non-consanguineous marriage, no history of maternal smoking or alcohol intake. There's no maternal diabetes. Perinatal history, this is the first child, which is a term child delivered by lower segment cesarean section. Child cried immediately after birth and the birth weight is 2.9 kgs. Child was exclusively breastfed. Immunization history. The child was immunized up to date as per the schedule. Treatment history. No definitive treatment was taken for the present complaint. Family history. No similar complaints in the family.
Yeah. Can we just have few queries on your history and presentation?
Yeah, you can interrupt, sir. You can interrupt and question at any time.
Yeah, otherwise we will forget about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you have nicely told us the history. That can you just make a little summary of the history?
Yes, sir. To summarize, there's this 10-month-old male child, sir, who was brought to pediatric surgery outpatient by mother with chief complaints of empty left side of the scrotum, sir. Empty left hemiscrotum.
Okay. You have tried to give some antenatal history saying that no history of maternal smoking, alcohol, diabetes.
Yes, sir.
Why these things are important?
So maternal smoking and alcohol intake are supposed to be associated with increased undescended testes in the male baby, sir. And also maternal diabetes is also associated with increased risk of undescended testes, sir.
Sure. For instance, or in other words, these maternal smoking, drug intake, alcohol, diabetes, they are associated with almost all kind of congenital abnormalities, aren't they? So
Yes,
these are generally very important whenever we see a child or a baby with a suspected congenital anomaly. Do you know any particular hormone which was once upon a time known to be highly associated with undescended testis? One drug?
Diethylstilbestrol.
Diethylstilbestrol. Absolutely right. So that is one of the drug which has a known association between maternal intake and child having undescended testis.
Yes, sir.
Do you know any genetic conditions or genetic association of undescended testis? Are there any genetic background?
Yes, sir. Undescended testis, it is associated with like many genetic anomalies, sir. There are syndromic and like Klinefelter syndrome, Prune-Belly syndrome, sir. Prader-Willi syndrome, trisomy 18, 13, Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome, sir. And genetic disorders like primary hypogonadism, sir, with increased gonadotropin levels. And disorders of sexual development, sir.
Is it a genetic condition? Is it a genetic disease or is it not?
It is associated with some of the genetic disorders,
Right.
sir.
So it is essentially not a genetic disease.
Yes,
it is essentially a multifactorial disease. Wherever we don't know a single gene causing a disease, we call it a multifactorial
yes, sir.
association. So multifactorial means there is just not a single gene isolated or known to cause this. There are some associations known, as you rightly narrated, very important thing like Klinefelter, Prader-Willi, Prune-Belly syndrome, all abdominal wall defects, posterior valve, and meningomyelin, CNS disorder. So there are several known diseases which have association, but no direct genetic association has been found as cause and effect of undescended. So what do you think causes undescended testis? We will come in detail later on, but just in this, since we have long time to discuss.
Sir, undescended testis, any aberrations in the testicular descent, sir?
So one is you think it is developmental or developmental defect.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And any mechanical...
Harisha,
Yes, sir.
tell what is the driving force which causes the descent?
It is the abdominal pressure and abdominal tone, sir. One of the factor. And the driving force, it is the androgens, sir. Hormonal and neuronal mediated, sir.
Okay, right.
And which is essentially guided by a gene called?
Sir?
No, the male gene essentially is the SRY gene.
SRY gene, sir. SRY gene, sir.
Yeah. So that is what the basic drive. Then that gene drives everything towards androgenic environment, whether your hypothalamo-pituitary gonadal axis or your fetal testes produces androgens, and then that is one of the main guiding force for the testicular descent. So we will talk about that later on. So anything more, anything associated history you found any significance? No, essentially undescended testis for we pediatric surgeons and the exam purpose is a short case. So
Yes.
yeah, so we go into the case, but today being a special class where we are talking about one particular topic, so we have enough time to discuss about all this biology and then causes and then descent. Okay, please carry on with your presentation.
Yes, sir. Coming to general examination of the patient, child is conscious, alert, well built and nourished. There's no pallor no icterus, no cyanosis, no clubbing, no generalized lymphadenopathy or no pedal edema. Child is afebrile with pulse rate of 120 beats per minute and respiratory rate of 28 per minute. Weight of the child is 9 kgs, height is 71 centimeters, mid-arm circumference is 12 centimeters, which are all appropriate for the age of the child, sir. Head-to-toe examination, there are no syndromic. Sorry, sir. Head-to-toe examination, there are no syndromic features, no evidence of any neural or musculoskeletal abnormalities, and spine of the child appears to be normal. Abdominal examination, per abdomen soft, there is no organomegaly and no palpable masses. Hernial orifices are free. This is the clinical picture of the patient, sir.
Yes, describe.
Coming to the regional inguinoscrotal examination, on inspection, poorly developed and empty left hemiscrotum with decreased rugosity is seen. There is no evidence of any inguinal bulges or masses. Onto the right side of the scrotum, it is well developed with good volume testis within. Penis appears to be normal. On palpation, there is no local rise of temperature and tenderness. Left side of the scrotum, it is empty. And on palpation, from anterior superior iliac spine, a single firm nodular swelling of about 1 centimeter by 0.5 centimeter is palpable just outside the external rings. Onto the right side, a normal volume testis of approximately 2 centimeters by 1 centimeter is noted at the base of the scrotum. Penis is normal with external urethral meatus at the tip. There is no evidence of any bulge in the inguinal region on crying, sir.
Okay. So let us have some questions on before you slip to the next slide. Now
Yes,
go
sir.
back to your previous slide.
Yes, sir.
So can you summarize your local finding?
Yes, sir. To summarize, on inspection, there is
Summary means just summary. You just tell what you found on overall examination.
yes, sir. Left hemiscrotum is empty with testis palpable just outside the external ring, sir. And the right side of the scrotum is with normal volume testis. There's no evidence of any inguinal hernias.
How do you palpate for testis? How you do
Yes, sir.
palpation?
I will
For-
stand on to the left side of the patient and with my right hand from anterior superior iliac spine with constant
First of all, you
pressure.
have to tell the position of the patient.
Yes,
You
sir.
said
Yes, sir.
you
Sorry,
stand,
sir.
but what do the patient do?
Yes, sir. With patient in supine position, sir. I'll stand on to the left side of the patient and with my right hand onto the anterior superior iliac spine. I'll
There are a few more things you do before you start putting your hand.
just warm up my hands and make the
Right.
child calm, sir.
You ensure that the child is comfortable.
Yes, sir.
The child is not crying. Child is probably better with the parents or somebody else.
Yes,
With
sir.
a nice environment around.
Yes, sir.
And then only you start your examination. If you
Yes,
start
sir.
examining a child who's crying, screaming, running away, it will be a improper or false examination. So that is a basic criteria to start with. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
then go ahead.
So examination is carried in a warm room and with child in relaxed state and comfortable position. But in supine position, with my hands warmed up, I will start palpating from the anterior superior iliac spine, sir, and with constant pressure and milking movements. And with the left hand, I will try grasping the structure, sir. So here, the level of
Which
the
direction your milking movement takes place, and where do you keep the fingers of your other hand?
fingers of the other hand, I'll place at the base of the scrotum, sir, and I'll try to
Milk it along the
along the
inguinal
line
canal.
of descent. Yes, sir.
Along the inguinal canal. That
Yes,
is
sir.
the normal descent path of the testis. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So essentially, you are milking it along the line of the canal, preventing it from going back, springing back into the abdomen, because if there is a patent processus vaginalis, then sometimes even a testis, which is say halfway descend, spring back into the abdomen. So to prevent that, you are doing all this. Anything special you do to your fingers?
I'll lubricate my fingers if possible, sir, so that the testis easily
Some people say
slips.
lubricate or put some gel or powder
Yeah.
to
Yes, sir.
increase the sensitivity of
Yes,
the
sir.
test. So this is all is about the gliding test, so-called gliding test. So having done a gliding test and having failed a testis, what else are you going to do? How are you sure that this is testis, the structure which you failed?
Uh, so the mobility
Anything else?
of the structure, sir. The structure tries to. I will.
So it is moving along the inguinal canal. That is one good point.
Yes, sir.
And
And
the consistency of it, the shape of it,
yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
And
Sensation.
the position of the structure, as we already discussed. Because if you feel in a different place, you may feel, say, a lymph node by mistake, may feel like an undescended testis. Earlier days, people used to say testicular sensation, but we don't talk about that anymore. You can't do squeezing or anything in a little baby to check for testicular sensation. So I don't think you should utter that. I think by its shape, by its nature, by its position, by its mobility, and by its consistency, you think that so this is nothing but the testis which you
Yes,
have
sir.
failed.
Yes, sir.
And you have done the test as we discussed, the gliding test. So now you have done only supine position. Is that completion of the examination, or you can do something more?
We can examine the child in other positions also, sir.
What are the other recommended positions?
Frog-legged or cross-legged positions, sir.
Yes. So the other positions are standing cross-legged and
Yes.
squatting.
Squatting.
So
Yes.
sometimes, a squatting position also helps for a testis to come. But you can do those things in a bigger child, of course, not a 10-month-old baby, for
Yes.
sure. So just to know for your shake-up completion that these are all the positions you should examine to look for the testis.
Yes, sir.
So having failed that testis and having diagnosed or failed that testis, so what is the normal position of a testis? Tell me. Normal position of a descended testis.
So a normal descended testis should occupy midpoint of the scrotum, sir.
Right.
approximately 4
Exactly.
centimeters
So it is
from the
mid
pubic.
scrotum is the normal position. So
Yes.
if it is anyway above that, if it is high scrotal or inguinal, then it is a undescended
Descended
testis.
testis.
Dr. Narinder, is there anybody else going to ask question or should I continue?
No. You can continue, sir. You can continue.
Okay, if you want me to stop, please tell me.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, thank you. So I need to get feedback from you also.
Yeah. Sure, sir.
So
Carry on.
carry on.
Yeah. Carry on.
Okay.
Carry on.
So okay. So back
See,
to
this
you.
is already 100 students have joined, sir.
Right. Sure. So this
So
right.
you examine in detail,
Right.
and it should be useful to the students.
Right. So that is the way we are going.
Yeah.
So having done the examination of inspection, palpation, and both in supine position, erect, cross-legged, and squatting position, and having done the gliding test, having confirmed that that this is perhaps nothing but the testis. So doctor, where did you find the testis? Which position did you find it?
Just outside the external ring, sir.
Outside the external ring.
Yes, sir.
So it is just high scrotal, you mean, or somewhere in the inguinoscrotal area?
Yes, sir. Pre-scrotal. Yeah, high scrotal we can say, sir.
Okay.
It didn't reach root of the scrotum yet, sir. I mean,
Okay.
just outside the external ring, sir.
Okay. So what do you think the size of the testis is? Smaller than the normal?
Yes, sir. It is smaller than the normal, sir.
Because 1 centimeter versus 2 centimeter.
Yes, sir.
Right. And you very rightly pointed out about the penis, because it is very important to examine the penis in detail in case of undescended testis. Why is it important?
So because undescended testis, it will be associated with hypospadias in 5 to 25% of the cases, sir. And
Yes.
if it is associated with hypospadias, and not in this case scenario, if there is a bilateral non-palpable testis, then we have to evaluate for disorders of sexual development, sir.
Very good. Because that is the lesson that as we were talking about, that it could be just an isolated undescended testis, or it could be part of a multiple problem like a DSD disorder. How do
Yes.
we smell that there could be an abnormality? So if you have a say penoscrotal hypospadias and if you have bilateral undescended testes, then those things point out towards getting more tests done to rule out any chromosomal abnormality, particularly get a
Carrier.
chromosomal analysis and a karyotyping.
Yes.
What about micropenis? Suppose the child has a very small penis with undescended testis. What do you think it could be due to? Can that happen?
Yes, sir. It happens, sir. It might be, micropenis, it might be just due to, if the child is obese, it can be a buried penis, sir. Otherwise,
Right?
micropenis with with bilateral undescended testis, it is associated with
Answer, Harisha.
disorders of
You are
sexual
on the
development.
right path. You are on
Yes.
the right path. If you have bilateral undescended testes and a small phallus, then
Yes.
you again suspect that there is a more
Disorders of
systemic problem, disorder. What it means that there could be either anorchia or hypogonadotrophic hypogonadism, where the overall androgen production pathway is abnormal.
yes, sir.
So then those cases you have to do more endocrine test, even in a little baby.
Yes,
I
sir.
give you another scenario.
Okay, sir.
Bilateral, a baby, say 9-month-old, gonads not palpable, and a micropenis. Can you think of any differential diagnosis? Say 6-month-old, 7-month-old. Gonads not palpable, and micropenis?
It might be congenital adrenal hyperplasia, sir.
Excellent, excellent. So you should always keep that in mind when you are not able to palpate gonad. Even the baby is brought up as a boy with a micropenis or a small penis or a small phallus, one should never ever forget that congenital adrenal hyperplasia can present exactly like that. This is because of excessive virilization of a female child. So it is essentially an enlarged clitoris and not a true micropenis. And an urgent endocrine workup in such a situation will make the diagnosis. And even some of them can have congenital salt losing type. So it is very important to make a diagnosis in that situation. So these are all the important points of local examination and finding out association of this condition with other diseases. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Sure. Okay. You can further progress.
Yes, sir.
Sir, with your permission,
Yes, sir.
is there any inguinal hernia, Harisha?
No, sir. There
Any
is no.
clinically evident inguinal hernia?
No, sir.
Right.
No, no, sir. No associated inguinal hernia, sir.
Okay.
Why do you think inguinal hernias occur along with undescended testes?
Uh, the patent process is vaginalis, sir.
Right. So the testis carries along with it the process
The
of
process
vagination.
vaginalis. Yes, sir.
Normally undergoes
Obliteration.
obliteration, but if it persists, then it could result in undescended testis. Yeah, go ahead with your presentation.
Yes, sir. Other systemic examination, cardiovascular system, S1, S2 heard and no murmurs. Respiratory system, bilateral air entry is present. Central nervous system is normal and musculoskeletal system, no abnormality is detected.
Again, it is important to have a general physical examination as we discussed.
Yes, sir.
That there are many syndromic varieties may be associated with other things. As you rightly said, Prune belly syndrome, Prader-Willi syndrome, Klinefelter syndrome,
Yes, sir.
and your
Myelomeningocele.
yes, and CNS disorders, meningomyelocele, abdominal wall defects like omphalocele, gastrophyseal,
Gastrostomies.
even
Yes.
posterior valve has a high incidence. So it is very important to have a complete systemic examination. I mean, if you have a time in your exam, usually it is given as a short case, but one should never miss a systemic examination, not to miss out a more complex presentation rather than a simple undescended test. Okay, so
Okay, sir.
again, summarize for the audience.
Yes, sir. This is a 10 months old male child with chief complaints of absent testis in the left hemiscrotum and with no associated anomalies. On examination, there is a palpable firm nodular swelling of about 1 centimeter by 0.5 centimeter just outside the external ring without any associated inguinal hernias.
So your diagnosis?
My diagnosis is left-sided palpable undescended testis.
Okay. So now we will discuss with you certain terminologies in association with this condition.
Yes, sir.
You very rightly said it's a left-sided, palpable, undescended testis.
Yes, sir.
What is cryptorchidism?
Cryptosis. Yes, sir.
It's almost always used as a synonymous to undescended testis, isn't it?
Yes, sir. It is nothing but hidden scrotum, sir. Absence of the scrotum at any point in the line of descent is.
Testis.
Yeah, not scrotum, testis.
Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir. Testis, sir.
Right. So in other words, it's a hidden testis.
Yes, sir.
And many book they say that they are just synonymous.
Yes, sir.
So that is palpable. What is anorchia?
Anorchia is Absence of testicular development, sir.
Right.
Complete.
It is basically an absent test, isn't it?
Yes.
That's the difference between undescended testis and anarchia. And undescended testis can be anywhere in the normal path of the testicular descent or somewhere else. But anarchia means completely absent. Testis. Can your patient be a case of retractile testis?
He could be, sir.
Why?
But
Why do you think it could be? If you said it could be, first you said why you think it could be.
no, sir. Mother has never seen the testis inside the scrotum since birth, sir. So it cannot be. Sorry, sir. I'll change my answer. It cannot be, sir.
Is that the sole definition of retractile testis, by mother seeing it in the scrotum?
No, sir. The testis can be manipulated up till the base of the scrotum, sir.
Right.
Until the next cremasteric reflex
So could you
occurs.
do that during your physical examination?
Yes, sir. I did. I did, sir. But I
Could you
couldn't
bring the
negotiate.
testis down to the mid scrotum during your clinical examination?
No, sir. I couldn't negotiate it, sir.
Right. So that is the point. So that you were unable to bring this testis or manipulate this testis into the scrotum. That
Yes.
itself says that this is not a retractile testis. So by definition, a retractile testis is one which either at some time was in the scrotum or during your examination, you were able to manipulate it into the scrotum and it stays there for little while before it retracts back or something happens. It stays once you bring it down there. So that is a classic definition of a retractile testis. And it is important to differentiate such a condition from a true undescended testis. A true undescended testis is one which you may not be able to bring it down, or it just slinks back as soon as you bring it down. The other name of that condition, some people say, is a gliding testis. It just glides down and goes back. What it means, the cord itself is short, so it doesn't stay in the scrotum. Now, although the difference is theoretically explained as we discussed, that one you will be able to bring it down, the other you will, though be able to bring it down, it springs back. But practically, it may be very difficult at times to differentiate a retractile testis from a truly undescended testis. However, a retractile testis, as you said, that once you bring it down, if it remains in the scrotum, or if the mother gives a history that it was in the scrotum, or sometimes they say when the child sleeps, the testes are found in the scrotum, we see them. But the moment he gets up and goes to play or goes around in the daytime, it doesn't stay there. What it means that this is perhaps an overactive trimester which pulls it up. But when the child is relaxed, is under sleep, it's down in the scrotum. So there are subtle differences between a retractile testis and a true undescended testis, as it is important because even the management of such condition may differ, which we will talk after that. So we spoke about cryptorchidism, we spoke about anarchia, we spoke about the glided testis, we spoke about a retractile testis. What else? Now you said something. Do you think this is a congenital condition or an acquired condition?
This is congenital, sir.
Right. So in our index case, you think it is congenital because it is absent since birth.
Yes, sir.
Can there be acquired undescended testis?
Yes, sir.
Tell
So
us what is
acquired can be like an acquired undescended testis can be again congenital and iatrogenic, sir.
right.
Like
What is the
Primary or
cause?
secondary?
What is the cause, Harisha?
So once descended and this testis due to frequent cremasteric reflex, it ascends up, sir, because of the disproportionate growth of cord and
Yes.
the scrotum, sir. Inguinal canal and the scrotum.
Right.
So the
So
cord
this is a
doesn't.
primary kind of acquired UTT, right?
Yes, sir.
And what is secondary kind of acquired UTT?
Secondary is secondary to any inguinal surgery, sir.
Right. Herniatomy is the one of the common surgery. If a
Yes.
surgeon forgets to put the testis back in the scrotum and keeps it up in the inguinal canal, or due to shortening of the cord structures or some damage, there can be acquired secondary undescended testis. So
Yes.
it is known that acquired UDT can happen. People have found that in adolescent boys, that even without a history of trauma or surgery, once descended testis can go up, perhaps because of disproportionate growth of the cord to the body growth. So the testis goes up. So it is important to remember that there is a variety of acquired undescended testis as well.
Yes, sir.
I think we have a ectopic testis, another case, so I will not go in this case. We'll keep it up to here. Ectopic we'll discuss in the next case.
Okay, sir.
So you said it is a left-sided palpable undescended testis.
Yes, sir.
Somebody put up a question, a word on polyarchia. You have any idea?
Yes, sir. Sometimes there will be duplication of the genital ridge, sir, at the time of descent. So there can be formation of more than one testis onto one side, sir.
Okay. People might like to know that how often they occur or what do you do for that? Because there's a question put up by one of the audience.
I'm not sure, sir.
Dr. Narendra, you want to say anything on polyarchia?
No, sir. You go ahead, sir, with your presentation.
Okay. So, next. Go ahead. Go further.
So, I wanted to ask one question to the Harisha, sir.
Yes,
What
sir.
is the difference between anarchia and monarchia?
Anorchia is absence of both the testis, sir. Monarchia is presence of one testis onto one side.
Yeah, right. Go
Next,
ahead.
you have another slide or?
So this is the end, sir. Next
Okay.
is the next
So
case.
you're okay. No. Okay. Stop there. So
Yes,
we
sir.
have come up to the diagnosis,
Yes, sir.
and so obviously our next course of action will be how do we manage this
Manage.
child. So tell us about your plan of management.
Since this is a palpable undescended testis, sir, I'll plan for surgery, sir.
Why would you like to subject this patient to surgery?
Now
The
that
mother
the
wants to know
sir,
why surgery for my child.
Indications for surgery.
age of the child, sir. Now that the child is 10 months old, there is no chance of any spontaneous descent. First point.
Okay.
And
Yes. How long do you think spontaneous descent can take place?
after 4 months, there is hardly any chance, sir.
3 months is generally taken in a full term baby, 3 months, and
Yes.
in a preterm baby, one can wait up to 6 months. And beyond that, there is no chance of any spontaneous descent. So by 6 months of age or corrected age for a preterm baby, one should decide to go for surgery. Number one. Number two, why surgery? Why not just leave him alone?
There could be complications like.
So to avoid complications,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
So you want to explain to the mother to avoid complications. For future complications, you want to undergo surgery. And any other reason?
And
What are the 4 T's, Harisha?
yes, sir. There's testicular function, that is, it may be the increased risk of infertility, sir, and more prone for trauma. There's no more prone for risk of malignancy, and
You have told everything.
torsions,
And also
And-
remember
Corn-
there is a cosmetic reason for it as well.
Yes, sir.
Because once the child grows up, you don't want the child to have an empty scrotum.
Yes, sir.
So in addition to all the complications which you are trying to narrate, like to reduce the chance of infertility, to reduce the chance of trauma, torsion, tumor, in addition to that, I have epididymoarthritis. You also psychological effect of the child with an empty scrotum. So cosmesis is also important.
Yes, sir.
So these are the reasons you will explain to the mother that you would like to
Operate.
take up the child for surgery. So
Yes,
let
sir.
us go ahead with the if anyone happened to see this child at 1 month of age, how do you counsel the parents?
I'll ask the patient to just follow up after 5 months, sir. Like the timing of orchidopexy is between 6 to 9 months. So I'll tell the patient and assure them that they need to wait for spontaneous descent of the testis, sir.
What are the chances? The chances are very less, isn't it?
Yes, sir. But up till 3 months, there is a chance, sir. We can take chance.
Right. So that is why people have worked out. The American Urological Association has made guidelines.
Yes, sir.
So we are talking about American Urological Association guideline that wait till 3 months. At 6 months, if you still have an undescended testis, there's definitely an indication for surgery. Okay, go ahead. How do you do surgery on this child? Steps of operation.
Yes, sir. I'll plan for a open standard orchidopexy, sir. So with necessary blood routine examinations and pre-anesthetic checkup and under general anesthesia, with child in supine position, the parts are painted and draped, sir. A skin crease incision over the external ring is given and extended laterally. We have to open the abdominal layers, campers, scarpas, and then external oblique aponeurosis. After that, separation of the cremaster fibers, sir. If the testis is seen at the superficial inguinal pouch, it can be picked up and traction is given on the spermatic cord, sir. The attachment of the gubernaculum is identified and divided. And then with traction onto the tunica vaginalis, cremaster muscle fibers are stripped off, sir. And processus vaginalis is dissected off. And then we have to separate the cord completely from the hernial sac, and I will do a herniotomy, sir. I'll transfix the sac. If the testis cannot be reached up to mid-scrotal position, then I'll go for further dissection. I will divide the deep.
Incision. Where do you put the incision?
Sir? Sorry, sir?
Where do you put the incision?
Skin incision, sir.
Yeah.
Where do you put it? Is it mid-inguinal?
Mid-inguinal points.
How do you identify the mid-inguinal? You tell.
So from the pubic tubercle up till anterior superior iliac span, we'll take the mid-inguinal point, sir.
Yeah.
And then we'll put a incision over the mid-inguinal point over onto the skin crease, sir.
Okay, so you have given the incision, you have cut open all the superficial fascia,
Yes.
fascia of camper, fascia of scarpa, you've gone to external oblique aponeurosis, you've seen the external ring,
Yes, sir.
and then what do you do next? You deliver the testis,
Yes, sir.
and
And
which
then
structure?
separate the
keep holding
gubernaculum.
There's a structure which keeps holding the testis.
Gubernaculum, sir.
So do you divide that?
Yes, sir. I'll divide the gubernaculum, sir.
You divide that. How do you separate the cord from the testis? How do you separate the hernia sac from the testis?
With the traction over tunica vaginalis, sir. Like I'll ask the assistant to put a constant traction over the testis, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And
You
then
hold the testis or you hold the sac? You hold the testis or you hold the process within a sac? Which do you hold?
I will hold traction will be onto the testis, sir. I'll hold processes, sir. Sir,
Go
sir,
ahead.
So there are essentially people are asking whether you open the sac, separate it, or you can do addition with an intact sac. In fact, there are both the techniques are equally good. It depends on the surgeon's practice. You could separate the testis or the cord structures with an intact sac without opening the sac at all. And or you could open the sac and then start dissecting. Sometimes opening the sac adds, the dissection becomes more difficult. But the crux of the or the point of success is a nice separation of the sac from the cord structures so that you can elongate the testis. And once you dissect the sac off the cord up to the deep inguinal ring and further, you tend to gain a lot of length when you transect and ligate the patent processus vaginalis. Suppose having done that, you are still falling short.
yes,
Do you
sir.
know other maneuvers or
Yes, sir.
methods to elongate the testes? Or
Yes, sir.
how do you do that?
So further, I'll just incise the deep inguinal ring and mobilize the cord structures retroperitoneally, sir.
Okay,
I'll divide all the lateral attachments over the cord, and
right,
sometimes, if needed, the floor of inguinal canal and fascia transversalis, sir.
right,
And the last would be Prentice manure, sir.
right. So
So dividing,
essentially it is deep retroperitoneal dissection, skeletonizing the vas and the vessels, cutting all the lateral bands and cutting even the floor of the inguinal canal. And if you need to, then bring it medial to the inferior epigastric vessel, so-called the Prentice maneuver. So
yes,
these are all the maneuvers to elongate the testis. Suppose you are still not able to bring the testis. Somebody is asking what are these bands called?
so they are called Dennis Brown's bands, sir.
Okay, great.
Yes.
And
So having done all those maneuvers,
yes,
suppose you still fall short. What do you do?
I'll go for staged orchidopexy, sir.
Right. So some people or most of the people would do that. Just leave it as far as you could bring it up. Wait for another 6 months or so and hope that the cord structures further elongates, and then probably in the next stage you will be able to bring the testis down. So how do you do the scrotal fixation? That's the inguinal part we have done.
Yes,
How
sir.
do you do the scrotal part?
So
Go ahead, answer quickly because we have lots of questions.
yes, sir. Blunt finger dissection is done and a tunnel is created up till the scrotum, sir, from the incision side. And then I'll take a transverse scrotal incision at in the mid-scrotal level. And then I'll create a
Subdartus pouch. So you will fix it in a subdartus pouch.
Yes,
So
sir.
how do you fix the testis? Where do you take bites and how do you fix it in the scrotum?
Sir, I'll just leave the testis in the subdartus pouch, sir. I don't take any bites.
Why?
So there might be any inflammatory damage to the testis and
And
What is blood-brain
there
testicular?
may be, yes, sir. There may be a production of anti-sperm antibodies in future, sir.
so it is recommended not to try to take bite through
Yes,
the tunica of
albugenia.
the testis, albugenia of the testis. To avoid that, you could just narrow the neck of the ring of that subdartus pouch,
Yes, sir.
and but don't take direct bite with the testis. And somebody said subdartus or extradartus.
Subdartus. I'll go for subdartus.
What is Rauki's maneuver? Dr. Bagdi is asking. Anybody knows, or we can ask him to answer? Sir, you can put up your answer down. So having done all this
Yes, sir.
and fixing the testes, so this is what we have so far discussed is a standard orchidopexy.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, question about complications, as you said.
Yes, sir.
You said there could be subfertility or infertility.
Yes,
So
sir.
let us talk a little bit of that. What are the chances of this child being fertile?
So
Or what
this,
is the chance of fertility of this patient?
it is a case of unilateral palpable undescended testis, so not much difference in the fertility, sir.
Okay, very good. Because people have seen that for unilateral UTT, if the other testis is normal, the overall chance of fertility is almost equal to normal population. However, if you go in detail and study histology of these testis, you will find very abnormal spermatogenesis and very abnormal spiniferous tubule, both in the undescended one as well as the normal descended one. However, the overall fertility rate is not that bad. And it is also studied that in the semen analysis, one may find abnormality in 25% of these patients. But as far as paternity chance is concerned, they are almost equal to normal population. What
Yes.
about bilateral undescended testes? What is the chance of fertility?
Fertility will be decreased, sir.
Yeah, bilateral, especially bilateral undescended testes or intra-abdominal testes, fertility may be even half of the normal population.
Yes, sir.
The next question is on malignancy. What is
Yes.
the chance of malignancy of this child? If the mother wants to know, is my child, or is there still chance of malignancy?
There is still chance of malignancy, sir. Just orchidopexy, it won't
Tell us
save
about
from.
what you know about malignancy and undescended testes.
So the probable chance is 0.05 to 1% chance, sir. And the most common malignancy being seminoma, sir. And
Yes.
orchidopexy is done for early detection of malignancy, sir, not to protect
So
it
that,
from.
right. So that is another point why we do early orchidopexy. That even people have found that the testis still has or
Hello.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, carry on.
So sir's voice is not audible, sir.
You go on. Is there any difference in the
normal
malignancy
chance of,
rate based
right,
on location?
Yes, sir.
exactly. So
Yes,
the
sir.
more intra-abdominal they are, they have 10 to
More
20 times more chance of.
chance. Yes, sir.
Whereas what you quoted 0.18 or 1 is a scrotal testis where you have been able to bring it down and fix it. There the chance of malignancy would be much less. And as you said, seminoma, is it the only testicular tumor that occur in UTT?
No, sir. Even embryonal cell carcinoma occurs, sir.
What about non-seminomatous germ cell tumor? I think what the literature says that
Sir.
intra-abdominal testis leftover always develop seminoma. So that is the commonest malignancy. Whereas the testes which had undergone orchidopexy, they later on develop malignancy. As you said, the chance is though very low, almost equal to general population chance, but they develop non-seminomatous germ cell tumor. So both kind of germ cell tumors are possible. So they develop essentially a carcinoma in situ, and from there they can develop germ cell tumor.
Yes, sir.
So that is in gist about malignancy and your bringing or doing an orchidopexy. Now suppose this child you said that it could be a retractile testis as well. We had a
Yes.
discussion once upon a time, and
Yes.
we thought that a very low undescended testis or a retractile testis at times are difficult to differentiate. Is there any difference in their management as per as this American Urological Association guideline?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the management
Direct-
difference, yes, go ahead.
Direct scrotal approach can be taken up, sir, with a Bianchi incision for low scrotal.
So what you are trying to say that orchidopexy could be transscrotal as well. So
Yes.
far you have spoken about inguinal orchidopexy, but there are few transscrotal incisions described. One is Bianchi incision, one is Mishra incision. There are few incisions described for transscrotal orchidopexy.
Yes, sir.
So it gives a more cosmetically pleasing scar and a hidden scar. So that is one of the advantage of transscrotal orchidopexy over an inguinal orchidopexy, which can be done for UDT, for low UDT. Even people manage to do all kind of UDT through transscrotal route. So my question was the difference in the approach between a low UDT versus retractile testis. The American Urological Association says if you suspect retractile testis, keep them under close observation and do an yearly follow-up, a
Yes, sir.
physical examination, because some of them can become
Ascended testis.
an ascended testis and they would merit an operation. So the recommendation is close observation and physical follow-up of these patients yearly, so that you don't miss an ascended testis or two undescended testis, which merit surgical intervention, and you cannot just sit on it or just wait on that two undescended testis. So there's another question on hormonal management.
Yes, sir.
So what do you know about hormonal management in UDT?
Sir, now it is obsolete, sir. But hormonal therapy used to be done previously, like human chorionic gonadotropin and GnRH analogs were used to be under practice, sir. So dosages at the rate of 100 international units per kg, 2 doses were to be given per week for 5 weeks, sir, according to International Health Foundation. Success rates are not that much, sir. It ranges between 0 to 20%. There are more side effects for this hormonal therapy, sir. According to AUA guidelines, hormonal therapy is obsolete, sir, now.
So if I have to summarize what you were trying to say, that in the past, people have used hormones for two purposes in undescended testis. One purpose is for diagnostic purpose. The other purpose is therapeutic.
Yes,
The diagnostic use was to differentiate
anorchia.
anorchia or completely absent testis from intra-abdominal testis. So
Yes.
there, people used to give HCG or so-called HCG stimulation test, where you do a baseline FSH-LH. If they are raised, FSH is raised, then they interpret as anorchia. If they are normal, then you give 3 doses of HCG, high dose, 2000 units, 1500 to 2000 units, say at a 2 to 3 day interval, 3 doses. And then you measure the FSH, LH and serum testosterone level. If the testosterone level surges or goes up, that indicates that there is some functional testicular tissue.
Yes.
But that test is obsolete now because that is not standardized, number one. And number two, nowadays for an impalpable testis, the diagnostic and therapeutic treatment are together done by a laparoscopy. So laparoscopy has taken over to all these hormonal tests. So that is as far as the diagnostic part. Another diagnostic part was to differentiate a true UDT from a retractile testis, where people say that a retractile testis may come down, or a true UDT will not come down following HCG. So the therapeutic use of HCG was done for low UDT and in retractile testis with some success from some European centers. But as you rightly pointed out, the American Urology Association, they do not believe in that because the doses are not standardized. The outcome has not been evidence-based, proven of effectivity, and there may be some chances of damage to epithelium as a result of gonadotropin stimulation. So it is out of vogue. That's the answer to your hormonal therapy for undescended testis as we stand today. So Dr. Narinder, any other
Yes.
questions?
Ask about the follow-up, sir. How do you follow the orchidopexy?
Right.
After
Having done this
orchidopexy.
operation, what do you think you should be? How do you think you should be following this patient?
So we have to counsel the parents to check for any size reduction or normal, or if the testis is persistently in the scrotum or not, sir. Follow up.
So, yeah,
Uh,
please carry on.
yes, sir. Every 6 monthly follow up, sir.
When do you get the ultrasound? First ultrasound after standard orchidopexy. And what do you want to see in that
I want to check for the volume of the testis, sir. And if there are any calcifications or any
The first ultrasound usually done after 3 months. And what you want to see is the site of the testis, size of the testis, and with the Doppler vascularity, which is the most important one. We have to prove that the testicular vessel is not damaged during our orchidopexy procedure. Site, size, and vascularity. It is usually done at first test after 3 months of standard orchidopexy.
yes, sir.
Yeah, carry on.
What is vanishing testis syndrome?
Sorry, sir.
What is vanishing testis syndrome?
Vanishing testis syndrome.
Vanish.
Yes, sir. It is the one wherein the testis is normal, but in prenatal period, due to extravaginal torsion, there is vascular injury and the testis becomes atrophied, sir. Vanishes.
What is peeping
Another
testis?
question I have.
When do you use the term peeping testis?
Peeping testis is a term exclusively used when diagnostic laparoscopy is done, sir.
Yes.
So the testis keeps peeping in and out of deep inguinal ring.
Okay, carry on.
Right. So, yes. Any other question from?
There are some questions from the audience, other students.
I know. Can you read out from the chat box? My chat box is not showing.
Yes, sir. Dr. Yoganagendra.
Right. One question I wanted to ask you. Is
Yes.
there any role of orchidectomy or removal of gonad in undescended testis?
Yes, sir. In case of intra-abdominal testis, wherein the vas and vessel ends up in atrophic testis, sir, or if there is any nubbin of tissue intraoperatively, even for a canalicular testis, we have to go for orchidectomy and biopsy, sir. There's no point of orchidopexy for a nubbin, sir.
So if you have an atrophic nubbin of a testicular tissue found, whether abdominally or in the canal, they're all indication for removal. Any other indication for removal?
In post-pubertal boys, sir, if there is undescended testis, then we have to go for orchidectomy, sir.
Sir, there is a question.
Hospital
Any
is-
recent advances using CGRP? Any recent advances using calcitonin gene-related peptide?
Yes, I
Hello?
saw the question, but who will tell the answer?
Any recent advances using CGRP?
Yeah, I do not know.
Yeah, I also don't know, sir.
So can
In
the,
laparoscopic orchidopexy, can herniatomy be done?
Yes.
yes,
Yeah. Right. Seminoma
Yeah,
is the
so-
commonest tumor in a treated case. What about in untreated case?
no, as I said that seminoma is commonly associated with intra-abdominal testis. Non-seminomatous germ cell tumor are more commonly associated with testes which have been brought down.
Any change in type of malignancy before and after orchidopexy?
There are several series, but most of the conclusion is that orchidopexy does reduce the risk of malignancy as it brings it from an abnormal environment to the usual testis scrotal scrotum, which is a normal environment for the testis. But I wouldn't be sure about the exact decrease. I think, as I said, that intra-abdominal testis has 5 to 10 times higher risk of malignancy, whereas a scrotal testis is almost as much as in general population. So there's
Following
definitely
a
low
staged
incidence.
orchidopexy, what is the success rate of having a normal testis? Following staged orchidopexy, what is the success rate of having normal testis?
Right. I won't have the rate available with me, but
Yeah.
I guess it will be good. Depends on the size of the testis. If it remains okay, it will be good.
So Sir has given an answer to that Roke's maneuver, sir, but I am not able to understand it.
Yes, Dr. Bagri had that question, so we wanted him to answer that.
Dr. Bagdi? Hello?
Okay, there's another question interesting. Is there any indication for testicular biopsy in UTT? Is a candidate wanted to answer?
Yeah.
Harisha,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Arisha?
Yes, sir.
so is there any indication for a testicular biopsy? And if say yes, in which solution you send, how do you do it? And what do you see in that?
So the indication of testicular biopsy is, as I have said, nubbin of tissue, sir. And then we'll send.
Essentially, Harisha, what you were trying to say, yeah, that if
Sir.
you have a good testis where you are going to do orchidopexy,
Yes,
there is
sir.
no indication for biopsy.
No, sir. No, sir. I won't go for
Not at all,
any
because you
biopsies.
damage more, you break the barrier, you open the tunica vaginally. So there is no
Yes.
indication for biopsy.
Yes, sir.
The only biopsy you spend are the removed
Orchidectomy, sir.
specimen.
Specimen.
Yeah, the removed specimen where you think the testis is abnormal, either it is small, atrophic, dysgenetic, especially dysgenetic testis, which has very high chance of malignancy. And those all atrophic nubbins which are removed always should be sent for biopsy, at least for documentation what you have removed and what you found.
In which solution you will send the testicular biopsy?
So the solution is Boyen's solution, sir. It is
What is it?
nothing. It is nothing but picrated formaldehyde, sir. The hardening effect of formaldehyde is reduced by picric acid and acetic acid in solution. So we'll
So
send
the-
testicular biopsies and gastric biopsies in these solutions.
The main advantage of picric acid is fast fixation. Otherwise, the tissue will get dried up.
Yes, sir.
So it is a picrated formalin, which is different from normal formalin by addition of a picric acid, which helps in fast
Fast
fixation.
Yes, sir.
There is a question, what is mini
Yeah,
puberty?
interesting question.
Go ahead, sir.
Interesting question. One is vas epididymis disjunction, and second is long loop vas. What are these two things, two anomalies, and what are their significance?
So these are all the anomalies of epididymis process vaginalis and gubernaculum, sir. Vasoepididymal anomalies, they might be associated with more chance of abdominal undescended testis, sir.
Yes.
Also long loop
Correct.
vas.
So essentially, as normally the epididymis is very close to the attached to the testis, as we know the normal anatomy. In some cases, there could be big separation between the testis and the epididymal tissue. That is vaso or testiculoepididymal distinction. So they are separated. They may be even having complete disconnection. The testis and the epididymis are completely disconnected. So these children would be infertile. Number one. Number two, long loop vas is a very important issue because sometimes the vas can loop down, go below the level of the testis. So at the time of mobilization and cutting the sac, if you are not careful about this situation, you may end up in damaging the vas because at some stage you transect the processus vaginalis. So there you should be careful that the vas is not entangled, as a long loop vas can go very low down, even below the level of the testis, which can be under danger for damage.
Yes, sir.
Somebody is
What
asking mini puberty.
Mini
puberty?
puberty, at around 3 months of age, there will be a surge in gonadotropins and testosterone, sir, which causes spontaneous descent of the testis. So this stage is called mini puberty, sir.
Right.
Yes.
Sir, after you have a next case, so you
Yeah,
decide.
we'll
when you
go
want to
ahead
start.
for the next case.
Yes, sir.
Harisha, present the next case.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So who's taking it?
You yourself,
Okay,
sir.
carry on.
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
yourself.
So the case scenario 2. There is this 4-month-old male child, resident of Hyderabad, informant being mother, who is reliable informant, came with chief complaints of empty right hemiscrotum since birth. History of present illness. Mother noticed absent testis in the right hemiscrotum since birth, and she presented directly to the outpatient department at 4 months of age. There is no history of trauma, no history of swelling in the groin, no history of any previous surgeries.
Okay. So tell us what is the general incidence of undescended testis?
Yes, sir.
What is the incidence of UDT?
Undescended testis, 1 in 250, sir. 1 in 200 to 300 cases, sir. In term infants, it is 3 to 5%, and in preterm infants, it is 10 to 30%.
No, it is not that. Yeah, it is only 1% in a full-term baby.
1 in 100.
And 1 in 100, right? 1 in 100 in a full-term baby. But the incidence is higher in preterm babies. It could be up to
30%.
1 in 30. Yeah, in preterm. And amongst UDTs, which side is common?
The right side is more common, sir.
Because you are presenting one left, one right. So you should
Yes,
know
sir.
the difference.
Yes, sir. Right side is more common, sir. Right side is more common. Approximately 50% are affected, sir, because right-sided testis.
Yeah.
Right-sided testis descends late, sir, a bit late.
Right. Right.
And the closure of that's also.
So
Right side is affected in 50% and
Yeah.
left side
Do you
in
know
30%.
the calendar of testicular descent?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So right 50, left 30, and bilateral 20.
Yes, sir.
That is in short. So right is more common, then left, and then bilateral. 50,
Yes, sir.
30, 20. And of all antecedent testes, 80% are palpable.
Yes, sir.
Only 20% abdominal. So these are very important basic statistics one can remember. And my next question I asked you is, did I ask you something? So do you know the calendar of testicular descent, embryology, the calendar?
Yes, sir.
What I meant is, what are the timings of testicular descent?
Yes, sir. So testicular descent can be
Yeah, please go ahead. You know the
categorized
stages
into,
of descent and
yes, sir, can be
timings?
categorized into two stages, sir. Transabdominal descent and inguinoscrotal descent. Transabdominal descent, it occurs from 8th week to 15th week, sir. Up till 6th week of gestation, the gonad is bipotential and indeterminate. And under the influence of SRY gene and testis determining factor, it turns into testis. And then the descent starts at around 8th week. Transabdominal descent, it is mostly hormonally mediated, sir. Descent from the urogenital ridge up to the internal inguinal ring is called transabdominal descent, sir. And there, the testis stays in resting phase for approximately like 10 weeks up to 25 weeks. And then inguinoscrotal descent starts off, sir. Transabdominal descent, Leydig cells, they produce testosterone which acts upon the cranial suspensory ligaments, and it has an inhibitory effect and causes regression of the cranial suspensory ligament. And Mullerian inhibitory substance and insulin-like peptide 3, it acts on the gubernaculum, producing a swelling reaction, that is proliferation of extracellular matrix and accumulation of mucopolysaccharides, and simultaneous shortening of the gubernaculum to cause descent of the testis. So after testis reaches the deep inguinal ring, it stays there at rest and for the inguinal canal to develop. And after that, inguinoscrotal descent starts, which is mostly neuronal mediated under the influence of calcitonin gene-related peptide, which is released by genital branch of the genitofemoral nerve, sir. It acts on the gubernaculum and induces its contraction. And subsequently, the testis descends down.
Yes, Harish. Why it takes rest there?
So the
Between the transabdominal and inguinoscrotal, it takes rest at the internal ring for almost 10 weeks.
Yes, sir. Inguinal canal has to widen and it has to lengthen also, sir.
Right. Sir is there online?
Yes, sir, he is there.
Go ahead with your presentation.
Yes, sir.
I think there is some technical snag. Go ahead.
Antenatal history is there's no history of maternal smoking or alcohol intake, no maternal diabetes. Perinatal history, birth order of the child is second. He is a term child delivered by lower segment cesarean section with birth weight of 2.5 kgs. He was exclusively breastfed and no treatment was taken for the present complaint. Immunization, treatment and family history are not significant. General examination of the child. Child is conscious, alert, well-built and nourished. No pallor, icterus, cyanosis, clubbing, generalized lymphadenopathy or pedal edema. Vitals are all normal and anthropometry measurements are appropriate to the age of the child. So, head-to-toe examination. The child has no syndromic features and no evidence of any neurological or musculoskeletal abnormalities. Abdominal examination is normal with no organomegaly and no palpable masses. This is the clinical picture of the child, sir.
Yes. Go ahead. Then the clinical examination.
Yes, sir. On inguinal scrotal examination with child under supine position,
तो
on
कैसे
inspection.
करेंगे यूरोडायनेमिक स्टडी के लिए
Mute the others, Harisha.
Yes, yes, sir, I did, sir. On inspection, this poorly developed right hemiscrotum, which is empty and with decreased rugosity. This small nodular swelling visible lateral to the scrotum. There's no evidence of any inguinal bulges or masses. Onto the left side of the scrotum, it is comparatively well developed with normal testicular bulge. Penis appears to be normal.
What is your diagnosis now?
So at the end of inspection, it seems like some swelling is in the perineum, sir.
Right. Continue with the clinical examination.
Yes, sir. On palpation, there's no local rise of temperature or tenderness. Or right side of the scrotum is empty. This form nodular swelling of about 2 centimeters by 1 centimeter, palpable lateral to the right hemiscrotal fold in the perineum.
Yeah.
Here we can see the perineal testis.
Enlarge that figure and show. Enlarge the slide. Right. What is your diagnosis now after the palpation?
So it is right-sided perineal ectopic testis, sir.
Right-sided perineal ectopic testis.
Yes, sir.
What is the difference between undescended testis and ectopic testis?
Undescended testis is the one wherein the testis is found anywhere in the line of normal descent, sir. And ectopic testis is away from the line of descent. Up to the external inguinal ring, the descent is normal and common. And after coming out of the external ring, the testis takes a diversion and it might end up descending into any ectopic sites.
So it goes through the normal inguinal canal.
Yes.
And after coming out of the inguinal canal, it deviates from the normal route.
Yes, sir.
So if it gets arrested within the route of normal descent, undescended.
Yes,
if
sir.
it gets deviated, is ectopic. What are the common sites of ectopic and testis?
The most common site is superficial inguinal pouch, sir, followed by femoral site, perineal, prepenile, and sometimes retrovesical, and there are cases wherein the testis resides at in the anterior abdominal wall also, sir.
Suppose if you see the testis on both the testis on one side, what do you call that condition?
So that is transverse testicular ectopia, sir.
Right. If you see a transverse testicular ectopia, what do you suspect?
So clinically, we'll see that there is contralateral inguinal hernia, sir,
Yes.
with ipsilateral undescended testis.
What may be the underlying problem?
So 30% of the cases are associated with persistent Mullerian duct syndrome, sir.
Yes, PMDS, persistent Mullerian duct syndrome. That is what we have to see for that.
Yes, sir.
Right. What do you want to do now? You have a right-sided ectopic testis.
Yes.
Age of the child?
4 months, sir.
4 months. What do you
Yes.
want to do now?
I want to go for surgery, sir.
Why? If the child is only 4 months.
But there is no scope of any descent, sir, because the
Yes.
position is ectopic.
Yes. So as it is deviated from its normal route, and there is no way it can come back to the normal route. Surgery
Yes.
is advised whenever it is diagnosed. Whenever the child is comfortable and in a position to undergo surgery, we can do it.
Yes, sir.
What procedure you do?
I'll go for a open standard orchidopexy, sir.
Yes.
So the steps are same as in the normal undescended testis. I'll take a inguinal crease incision, open the wound in layers, and then I will deliver the testis going into the root, like into the perineum.
Actually, as far as the length is concerned,
So
ectopic testis, correcting an ectopic testis, there won't any problem with the length because it has already crossed through the inguinal canal and deviated to different sites.
yes, sir.
Usually it is of a adequate length. So only thing is you have to put it back into the normal route, but there won't be any problem with the length.
Yes, sir.
What is the cause for the ectopic? You said for undescended testis, it is a hormonal. The driving forces are defective.
Yes, sir.
What do you think the cause for the ectopic testis? Why it has got deviated?
So the most common accepted theory is Hudson's hypothesis, sir, where there is aberrant genitofemoral nerve, which leads to an abnormal movement of the gubernaculum, sir. And it pushes the testis to the abnormal position. The chemotactic gradient also plays a role, sir. The same genitofemoral nerve, which is aberrant, it produces CGRP, and subsequently the dragging force will be towards the course of genitofemoral nerve, sir.
The previous standard theory is
That is
multiple
tails
tails of Lockwood.
wood. Yes, sir.
Multiple tails of Lockwood.
Yes.
Instead of a single gubernaculum, it will be in the form of multiple tails, and whichever tail is stronger, it pulls the testis in that direction.
Yes, sir.
Now it is replaced by the defect is in the genitofemoral nerve.
Yes, sir.
It is the deviation of the genitofemoral nerve. Along with that, the deviation of secretion of the CGRP, which is chemotactic way, pulls the testis into the ectopic position. These are the two theories which are explained for deviation of a testis.
Yes, sir.
So once you put it into the subdartos pouch, Sir has previously asked you, suppose you don't want to put a stitch, can you do something else so that the testis will not get retracted back?
We have to narrow down the neck of processes.
Yeah. The entry point, narrow down the
Entry point of yes.
entry point. So without touching the testis, without putting a stitch on the testis, you can put it in the narrow the entry point so that it won't go back again. Right. So this is a case of right-sided ectopic testis in a 4-month male.
Yes, sir.
So you have planned for a surgery.
Yes, sir.
So what are the complications you can expect during the orchidopexy procedure? Is there any complications during an orchidopexy?
In this case, or general standard orchidopexy, sir?
Yes, standard orchidopexy. See, when you are giving incision, mid-inguinal incision,
Yes, sir.
if your incision is more medial,
Yes, sir.
most common site for a undescended testis or ectopic testis is superficial inguinal pouch.
Yes, sir.
Where is the superficial inguinal pouch?
Just outside the external ring and
between the scarpa fascia and the external oblique.
Yes, sir.
So that is the site. If you give more medial incision, you are likely to damage the testis. So your incision should be exactly in the midinguinal point, and whatever the medial extension you want to give, it has to be done under vision. Second, the other complications that can occur is while doing like a herniatomy, the ilioinguinal and iliofemoral nerves can get damaged during your incision and mobilization, which can lead to neuropathic changes in the inguinal area skin.
Yes.
Next, while mobilizing the testicular vessels, there may be testicular vas and vessel from the sac. If you put traction on the vas can get, the smooth muscle of the vas can get affected, and motility disorders can lead to infertility later,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes,
The
sir.
vas can get transected, vas can get injured, crushed, or vas can get traction injury. Various things can happen on the. So always, either it is a herniatomy or undescended testis, always hold the sac, never hold the vas and vessel. And for separation, always use a wet gauze. Your aim is to protect the vas and vessels, right?
Yes, sir.
And when you are separating the sac, you should see that the separation should go up to the neck of the sac. You should see the properitoneal fat. And once you release, it should go back. Then only you can get adequate length of the vas and vessel. That is the point where you can say that your separation is adequate. And put a tie and hold the tie and lift it so that your dissection in the retroperitoneum will be easy. Always use the tie on the hernial sac neck as a traction so that you can dissect the Dennis Brown attachments, or also dissection in the retroperitoneum. It will help you, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, anything else? Any other comments, or any other surgeons want to say anything? Okay, Harisha. Why not?
I must thank Dr. Harisha.
Yeah.
I must thank her for her excellent presentation and excellent answer to very difficult questions, which took several years for us to learn. And at such a young age, she knows most of the answers. So big thanks for her. She's done very well, and she's answered all the difficult questions, not only from us, but also audiences.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, it was our privilege that you have come for this interactive session, sir.